Hello, I'm Linda Umble. I'm the City Manager here in Bastrop. We appreciate the opportunity to debut this organization's work plan for fiscal year 2018. Our work plan is a byproduct of a retreat that Council had back in the summer where they identified our vision and our mission statements, 9 focus areas that they determined were important for ensuring that that vision and mission statement were met. They made our comprehensive plan that was adopted in November 2016 a major driver in the things that the organization spends time on and focuses its energy on. If you'll think back to when the budget was adopted, the budget really incorporated not only the vision and the mission statements of Council, but the 9 focus areas. And the budget was structured around making sure that the elements and the programs and services that were funded were tied back to that 9 areas of focus that Council had identified. This work plan is really no different. Council gave me, the City Manager, instruction to make sure that the items that we focused on this fiscal year were really strategic in ensuring the vision and mission statement were met. So at the end of summer, the Executive Cabinet and I attended a 2.5-day retreat where we put together the work plan. That work plan has 187 items. 117 are due this fiscal year. We all know that we just don't have the capacity for 117 items. But we were unable to determine the priority order of what 117 items got to stay and which of those that got to move. So we just decided we'd let time work on that. Council appreciates that and understands that with our updates, we'll determine whether or not we're on the right track and make course adjustments as needed. I would encourage you to go to our website and pull up the work plan. And as I go through this program, you'll appreciate the items that are included in this work plan. But on the hard copy that's on the website, you'll see that each item is listed under one of the 9 areas of focus that I'll talk about in a moment. It's going to give you the responsible party. That's the department in the city that will be the lead organization on that. It's going to tell you the time that we'll address it. If it shows quarters 1 through 4, that means it's a year-long project. If it gives quarter 2 or 3, then we won't work on that until quarter 2 or quarter 3. And please remember that our fiscal year runs October to September, and that's how we determine our quarters. In addition to that information, it will tell you the funding source, whether the general fund, the water fund pays for it. And it will also, if it is tied to a specific item in the comprehensive plan, it'll reference the comp plan as well. So we are very strategic as we move forward in how all of our work ties back to the vision and the mission statement. So let's start by remembering the vision statement that Council established back in July. It's Bastrop, a welcoming community with a compassion for our diversity, a tapestry of people, arts, and structures, preserving our history and character while embracing progress around our unique environment. Bottom line is, isn't that such a visual statement that you can really picture what our future looks like? I just love how descriptive it is. Our mission statement is to continuously strive to provide efficient and proactive services that enhance our quality of life and achieve our vision. Now, I want to really point out one word in that mission statement that Council is pretty adamant we focus on, and that's efficiency. So as you look at the work plan this year, and you'll hear me talk about it today, fiscal year 2018 really is a year of process. And that's what we're going to focus on, is to get our house in order as an organization and focus on efficiency, making sure that we have utilized all of the capacity that we have, that we're providing that service as efficiently as possible. I like to say we're working smarter, not harder. As I mentioned a minute ago, we have 9 focus areas, and those are the areas that Council determined were critical to the success in our achieving our vision and mission statement. And those 9 focus areas are fiscal responsibility, economic vitality, communication, uniquely Bastrop, organizational excellence, multi-modal mobility, community safety, unique environment, and managed growth. And as I work through the work plan, I'll talk about what each one of those focus areas definition is. So we're communicating about what that looks like. So let's start with communication. Communication was defined by Council as supporting and enhancing open two-way communication between the city and its residents and businesses. This really is Council's #1 priority. So as a result of that, this year we created a multimedia department, and our chief storyteller is Colin Guerrera. We chose Colin's title strategically, if you will, because you see, we believe as an organization we have a great story to tell. So Colin's going to be our chief storyteller. He's behind the camera, also going to be in charge of our social media, and will be in charge of ensuring that we educate you, our citizenry, on the great services and programs that we offer, the why behind what it is we do. Why do we crack seal? Why do we do some of the things we do? We also want to use it as an opportunity to engage and meet our council's commitment to open and transparent government. A way that we're going to consistently communicate with you will be a monthly video program that we're going to kick off in January. That monthly video program will have components in it that we'll show every month. So you can get accustomed to hearing about finance. You'll get accustomed to hearing about things going on in the parks or our library. And so it really will be a way for us to tell our story and do it in a way that's educational, hopefully informative, and hopefully we'll have some fun with that. Another item in the communication work plan was Council's commitments to have joint workshops with all 14 of our boards and commissions. By charter, the mayor appoints all of the boards and commissioners, and the Council confirms those appointments. Council recognized that after doing a review and creating a vision statement and a mission statement and establishing those 9 focus areas, that it would be a good idea to meet with each one of our boards and commissions who offer policy recommendations to Council and review their purpose. Make sure that the purpose of each of these boards and commissions is in line with our vision and mission statement in 2017. And in addition to having a review of the purpose, a number of those items that are in the work plan, remember I said there were 187 of them, 117 of them due this year. Well, a number of those work plan items are going to need some assistance from our boards and commissions. So Council's going to meet with them. We're going to talk about our purpose. We're going to identify some of those programs that are in the work plan that they need assistance on, and they'll have a dialogue about what that looks like. Every one of those board and commission meetings have been scheduled, already on the calendar, so we'll be televising those live. So as we update the television channel schedule, we'll be sure that they get put out there so you'll know when to watch. Another item that we have focused on is our annual calendar. We appreciate that if we're going to tell you our story, we've got to anticipate what that story is. And every city has a rhythm. We know in January what's going to happen. We anticipate in March. It's always Severe Weather Awareness Month, just like May is Police Memorial Week, and we recognize our public works workers. We adopt our budget in September. We're going to have our Boards and Commissions Fair in July. We're going to have our Boards and Commissions Banquet in November. So there are a number of things that we can anticipate. So we're already building that calendar in anticipation of telling our story routinely in a way that makes sense to you, our customer. The second area of focus was community safety, or is community safety, I really should say. The one thing that's important about this item is it's keeping citizens, business, and visitors safe. And many times we start and stop with our first responders, police and fire. But you see, this category is really about more than just police and fire. It includes things like training programs for emergency management, One of the things that we know from past experience is it's not a question of if we're going to have an emergency, but when we're going to have an emergency. And I firmly believe that as an organization, we owe you a great response to that emergency. So we're going to be doing a lot of internal training. We're going to be putting together a robust crisis communication plan. You know, one of the things that social media has done in cities is change the way we communicate with you, our citizen. And so we need to anticipate what information you'll want and how we're going to communicate that to you. So we have 2 staff members that are already taking online training to become public information officers and put together this plan. So when you need us in an emergency, we've anticipated that, prepared, and we are communicating in a way that makes sense. We also are going to be opening a new shelter, a new FEMA shelter, hopefully at the end of March, 1st of April at the very latest. And what we have to do in order to prepare for that is to develop shelter guidelines. We'll be working on that. Because you don't ever want to wait for an emergency to be prepared, we're going to be doing some quarterly training. So we're already putting that on the calendar as an organization and anticipating the types of things that we need to be prepared for. Experience shows us that we're prepared for fires and floods, but there are a lot of emergencies that happen or could happen that we need to anticipate, think about. And while every emergency is different and there's absolutely no way to be 100% prepared, thinking about it, anticipating it, and planning for it certainly makes it easier to respond should the occurrence happen. Another thing that we are doing is a contract for right-of-way mowing. One of the items that is of particular interest this year is we're going to be improving code enforcement in the city of Bastrop. And we recognize that in order to expect you to mow your yard, we need to be able to ensure that all of the city-owned property is mowed as well. So we've done some internal organization to increase capacity in our parks department. We have funded right-of-way mowing and some facility mowing in anticipation of being able to put together a comprehensive program and educate the community on what improved code enforcement looks like, mowing our yards, ensuring that we don't have junk and debris in the front yards, making sure that our fences are in good repair. So we'll be working on that and talking to the community as we move forward, because we, the city, are going to be tending to our business according to our ordinances as well. Another focus area is economic vitality, and that's defined by creating sustainability by leveraging tourism, infrastructure renewal and investment, enhancing public-private partnerships, efficient, there's that word again, efficient planning and development processes, and fostering an inclusive and diverse environment that encourages entrepreneurial ventures. You know, there are a number of items under this work plan, so I'm going to enhance a couple of things that I think are really important. One is that customer-friendly development process. We recognize that in order for us to manage the growth that is absolutely going to happen, we know that we need to be friendly to the development process. And we need to be friendly because we want to be good partners. We want those developers to bring their development to Bastrop, no doubt about it, but we want to be a partner at the table so we can make sure that their development makes sense to ensure we stay uniquely Bastrop and make sure that it is built in a way that's long-term, sustainable, and we can maintain it well. So we really need that partnership, that development process that makes us friendly and easy to do business with so we can create win-win scenarios. I mentioned code enforcement just a minute ago. We're going to be doing that strategic plan. We're going to be doing right-of-way mowing so that we can make sure we're in compliance, and we're going to be reviewing our fines and ordinances relative to code enforcement and communicating to you, the citizen, that expectation. We're also going to be doing a capital improvement plan. We hear consistently from our citizens we'd like more, and it might be parks, it might be better streets, it might be whatever the case may be. So in January and February, we're going to be engaging the community on a survey of what kinds of capital improvement programs would you like to see, whether it's facilities, its infrastructure, or its programs. And we've already scheduled a mid-year budget workshop with Council in April, where we'll present the information that we get from you, our citizenry, to begin to put together a 5-year capital improvement plan. We're currently working on one for water wastewater, but this will include other items with a lot of citizen input for council consideration. So that's what I wanted to highlight in economic vitality. And so let's move on to the next one, fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility is preparing and managing budgets and fiduciary responsibility. There are a number of items under fiscal responsibility. And rather than to go into each one of them individually, what I would say to you is this. I indicated that fiscal year 2018 was about process. And fiscal responsibility is an area where you can really appreciate the items that we focused on internally for process. And so as we go through this year and our storytelling projects, we'll be highlighting some of the processes we would put in place. And the story that I'm going to be excited to tell and excited to hear about from staff is the way those process improvements created additional capacity, provided a better way for us to do something, a more efficient. Remember, I've said that was an important word to council. So we'll be focusing on those things as we move forward. And rather than tell you what we're going to do, we'll highlight that section by what we've done. Managed growth is the next focus area, and that's plan for and manage growth, development, and redevelopment to maintain Bastrop's unique feel and character. One of the things that has been important to this community for some time is developing an annexation plan. Bastrop is unique in the sense that we have 156 square miles of extraterritorial jurisdiction. But state law is very clear that we have to develop an annexation plan. The state law says that you cannot annex more than 10% of your current land mass in a given year, but if you haven't annexed in the past 3 years, you can take 30%. So we need to put together an annexation plan. But one of the elements of an annexation plan is you have to have a corresponding development plan. And that development plan outlines how we're going to provide water, sewer, streets, and all of the services. So we're going to be putting together an annexation plan for council consideration that ties our development plans to that annexation plan. But that's a part of a wastewater capital plan we'll be talking about in the next few months so that we can put that plan together and present it for council consideration. So that's one of the items under managed growth we'll be looking at and focusing on. Our annexation plan is really important because you've heard me say many times that the general fund is predominantly based on sales tax. 41% of our revenue, in fact, is sales tax. Less than a third of our revenue in the general fund comes from property taxes. Property taxes is really one of the most stable sources of revenue. So that annexation plan and making sure as we grow and embrace the growth that's coming our way, coming east on 71, that we can take advantage of that as we stabilize our tax base and be less reliant on sales tax and more reliant on property tax. The next focus area is multi-modal mobility. And that's improved mobility for all modes of transit and managing traffic congestion. This is really important, and we all appreciate this. I like to tell folks that I live in downtown, and so it takes me 5 minutes to get to Home Depot on a Sunday afternoon and an hour and a half to get home. So I think we can all agree that we really need to focus on improving traffic congestion, and we'll all be glad when the overpass improvements along 71 at 95 are completed. In this focus area are several other items beyond improving traffic congestion, and one is completing gaps in the residential sidewalks. We talked about during budget that we were going to use the red light camera funds. to improve pedestrian safety. Not long after I got here, there was a lady that came to the council meeting and she requested sidewalks, particularly in the North Bastrop area, because she was pregnant at the time. She had a child in a stroller, and they had been hit by a car. And boy, that really touched me and council as well. So we're going to be focusing on completing the gaps of residential sidewalks to improve mobility, particularly in the downtown and North Bastrop area. We're in the process of completing interlocal agreements with CARTS, our mass transit system here in Bastrop. We're very blessed as a small community to have a mass transit like CARTS. And our goal is over the next year and a half is to have a second route in Bastrop that makes it easier for our citizens to use mass transit and not take quite so long. This focus area also has a work plan item for the downtown trail expansion that will actually create a loop around downtown in the river. It'll cross out of downtown across the Old Iron Bridge on 150 and loop around, and it will come up the service road bridge that's going to be put in by TxDOT, come down Main Street, and again create that downtown trail expansion that will really embrace how important not only downtown is to Bastrop, but the Colorado River. And we've been talking about some time building a trail to the Bastrop State Park. Well, that's in the work plan this year to have that designed so that we can move into construction in the next year. Another focus area is organizational excellence, and that is to organize governance, progressive operational efficiency, see, there's that word again, efficiency, employee and citizen volunteer recognition. And that is so very important. Two things that are going to happen this year that we're really proud of relative to our boards, commissions, and volunteers, because I know from a lot of experience that cities don't work unless we have volunteer participation from our citizens. And I'm so proud of the volunteerism and that spirit that has existed for a long time in the city of Bastrop. So in November this year, we're going to be hosting our first annual Boards, Commissions, and Volunteer Fair, where we're going to recognize everyone that has participated and spent a number of hours giving back to their community in these important roles. In July, we'll be sending out a newsletter to all of our citizens as well as those in our extraterritorial jurisdiction about the opportunities available to apply for positions on our boards and commissions, and we'll highlight some other volunteer opportunities. And so on the 17th of July, that third Tuesday of July, we'll be hosting an annual volunteer fair. And each one of our 13 boards and commissions will literally have a table set up in a trade show where you can walk around and ask, what does this board do? What criteria would be helpful for me to know to be beneficial to the community? And then what other volunteer items are going to happen then? So we're really putting some concerted effort on not only educating the community on the efforts or abilities to volunteer in boards and commissions, but recognizing those that do and your important role and how we move forward. Another item is council has requested that we revise our board and commission ordinances and resolutions. Again, tying everything back to our vision and our mission, making sure that our boards and commissions purposes make sense in 2017, and make sure that we are focused on our work plan, our comprehensive plan, and all working in unison. So we're very excited about that. Let's talk about uniquely Bastrop, and that is to maintain and enhance our historic community feel by leveraging the unique combination of community, cultural, and recreational assets that make Bastrop a special place to live and to work. There are two items I want to talk about into this, and the first one is a cultural arts master plan. One of the items that came out of our comprehensive plan was the need for the city of Bastrop to begin to leverage all of our assets to work toward utilization of our hotel occupancy tax in a smart way. One of the state law requirements of hotel occupancy tax is that you can spend a certain percentage on arts. And we're very fortunate in Bastrop that we get a significant amount of hotel occupancy tax funds that will help us ensure that Bastrop's a great tourist destination. And that tourist destination is important because we need tourists coming into town to shore up our sales tax. Remember I said that was 41% of our general fund budget? Well, we're seeing communities like Elgin and Smithfield grow. We're also pretty concerned about a shopping development that's going to be built at State Highway 71 and State Highway 130. That's going to be putting about 500,000 square feet of retail space on the ground. We know that that will have an impact, if not a significant impact, on our sales tax. So we're concerned about that. So we want to leverage our cultural arts to make sure that we're investing our money for that tourist destination as smartly as possible. Council has a meeting already scheduled, that joint workshop with the Bastrop Arts and Public Places, which is the board council has determined really should be the policy advisor, if you will, on this master plan. So we're going to have that conversation in December and get that plan kicked off. Another item that has risen to an order of priority is public concerns about our chickens and roosters. And one of the things council wants to do is to have a public conversation, because there really are two schools of thought on this. There are people in the community that absolutely love the chickens and roosters and love that chicken sanctuary. And then there are people that live around it that are not as enamored with the chickens and roosters as others. And so council really doesn't have a firm grasp on what the problem is, and more importantly, what the solution is. So we're going to be having a meeting on Wednesday, November 29th. And we're going to have a public conversation, so folks can come and have a conversation with council. There's going to be one basic rule, and that is if you bring forward a problem or an issue, that you have to bring forward a solution for council to consider as well. So there'll be more information coming out in the weeks to come about our meeting on free-range chicken and roosters here in Bastrop on November 29th. The next focus area is unique environment. That's to continue beautification and natural areas, green space, parks, rivers, and landscaping. And one of the things that we are doing to ensure that we maximize our capacity is we're going to partner with the Federal Corrections Institute, the prison out on State Highway 95. If you pay attention to the gateways in and out of Bastrop, they used to be landscaped, but just due to capacity and resources, they're not landscaped anymore. And so we want to enhance our curb appeal, again, to make sure that we put our best foot forward, our best face forward as a community, because we're so proud of who we are. So a way to do that is to work with the prison. They have several vocational programs that they work with the inmates, and they are allowed to volunteer to participate in these programs to teach them skills, so when they're paroled they have other options. And so we want to utilize their landscaping program and ask their instructor to work to put together a design for these landscape entries. And once we have a material list, we'll be able to buy those supplies. And then there is a group of prisoners that are eligible for community service. And that means they've gone through a serious screening and that they are deemed safe to be out in the community. And there are stipulations. They have to be supervised 100% of the time, but we're going to ask them to come and plant the landscaping, and then we'll ask for their assistance periodically throughout the year to maintain that. And the key to that program is that they can't displace workers. And since we need way more workers than we have, we're certainly appreciative of the help. And that, we think, is a great partnership to utilize the programs that they're teaching in landscaping and then the resources that they provide. So in closing, I hope that you are excited about the strategic thinking that is going into the organization. Council's to be commended for creating a vision and a mission statement, identifying those 9 items those 9 focus area items that we need to really embrace in order to bring that vision and mission to life. I would encourage you to go to the website again and look at our 5-year work plan, all 187 items. And again, read each item, look and see who's going to be in charge of it, what quarter we're going to do it in, how we're going to pay for it, and how it ties back to the comprehensive plan. Well, this is kind of our debut program, if you will, on a special feature, and you'll be seeing a whole lot more of us on our television channel and our social media program, thanks to our multimedia department, Colin Guerrera, our chief storyteller, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for watching.